another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we're going to talk about the V4 again and why I have it on the lift, and we're going to look at it from a little bit of a different perspective. Did I buy the right bike? So first and foremost, let's talk. Did I actually buy the right bike? And I'll focus here on the bike and look at it and stuff like that. And now you've seen me make some videos about some things I love about my V4, some things I hate about it, you know, why it's a good commuter bike, why it's not, is it a good only crotch rocket, is it not, so on and so forth. And first and last and everything else that's going to kind of go along with it. But we all know first and foremost it is a track bike first rather than a street bike first. And you can kind of say, you know, some of these ones here are the same as well, but this one is definitely more of a track weapon than these individuals as far as, you know, commuting with them and riding them on the street. But the main question about this vlog today is focusing on, did I buy the right bike? As opposed to what other bike should I have bought if I was going to buy such a bike that was so heavily towards a track weapon? And the answer that I would pick to that is not the Aprilia RSV4, because I focused on another video why I didn't get that bike, is because that's not the bike I wanted and it didn't do it for me. And it's very similar to this other bike that I'm about to list, but it almost did it for me. But I will tell you ahead of time, they make a badass bike. However, I don't really particularly care for the brand. I don't say I hate the brand, but I don't really care for the motorcycle itself and the brand as well. And that is going to be the Yamaha R1M. Now, they're very similar in price, the M model. The R1 is much cheaper. But that bike, after riding that bike and riding this bike, well, let's get one thing out of the way first. Now, it's a matter of opinion, and we're going to go ahead and walk here to the front. And we're going to look at it. It's a matter of opinion. Now, I personally think, you know, from the front view, side view, and everything, this bike has a lot more styling and is a lot sexier than the R1M. We're not even getting into the performance or anything yet. It's a lot sexier and it's a lot more stylish than the R1M. Now, is the bike better than the R1M? Well, I would have to say that depends on who you ask, because everybody's going to have a different opinion on that, and I believe each bike is better in its own way. Each bike does something better than its own way. Which one's faster on the track? Well, based on all the reviews and all the videos and lap times and everything I've watched, you know, unless you're, you know, Valentino Rossi, maybe. Then you can really see the differences in the bike. But your average rider and someone that hasn't had a lot of track time, and I don't spend a lot of time on the track much more anymore, but I don't spend a lot of time on the track as much as I used to anymore. So riding around on the street, you're probably never going to see a big difference between the two bikes. So now it's going to come into comfort and styling. And riding the two, I can say this, the R1 is much more comfortable. Stylish, this one takes it out of the park all the way. And primarily because I always wanted a Ducati, and I always wanted a black or red Ducati. That's kind of why I went with this one. The styling is a little bit more unique. The R1 is damn close because it's a very unique bike, especially the M model. And it looks very different as opposed to all the other Yamaha motorcycles. And when the BMW came out, this thing here had a lot of features that no other motorcycle really had. And Yamaha, out of the big four, was the first one to really, you know, step it up and make it affordable, because yeah, the Superleggera and the 1299s had it, but those bikes were $30,000, $40,000. And again, if you're going to spend $30,000, $40,000 on a motorcycle, it's not really a first priority type of vehicle, because a lot of people can't even afford a $40,000 car, let alone a motorcycle that you're only going to really drive it when it's nice out. So again, which bike do I think is better? Well, I don't have one to say that's really one better, but did I buy the right bike? And I think I bought the right bike here for me. But at the same time, I do still miss a lot of the features and creature comforts and just the mechanical operations that the inline 4 that the R1 does have. Given to the fact that this is a V formation engine and that one is an inline 4, it obviously is a lot smoother, as like the BMW and the Jigsters and everything else. Now we all know the R1 out of the big four is the most probably track-capable, track-weapon style motorcycle, and it carves the corners the best out of anything. I don't care about Superbike titles and MotoGP titles and stuff like that. We all know when you want to build a bike to go fast in a straight line, we're probably going to build a ZX14 or a Hayabusa or something like that. But if you're going to start corner carving and stuff like that and really dip it into the corners, everyone's first and the cheapest and the best, most reliable, bike first and to go to is going to be an R6 or an R1, whether you like the brand or not. And I will tell you firsthand, straight up, I personally don't care for the brand. I don't like working on them. I don't like riding them. I don't really care for any of them. But if I was going to get rid of this bike, it was definitely going to be an R1M. And who knows, maybe I might add one to the channel just as an additional to this, because I really still do like the R1M. It is very unique. I do like the silver with the blue and the carbon fiber, and it has a lot of cool track features and some track features on the bike that I think that this bike should have had given the amount of money that it cost, versus that one automatically comes with it. One in particular, and it doesn't matter if it's this or the S or anything, or the Superleggera. The one cool feature that I really love about the R1M is that GPS unit that comes installed within the tail section to get all of your data back to your laptop for data logging and let you know everything that the motorcycle is doing. And I think that is one killer feature that bike, really has. Again, and this bike here has a lot of styling that goes along with it, and I think that was definitely part of Ducati's important features when they were building this motorcycle, is not only make it so sexy and so stylish as this thing's going around the racetrack, is the fact that it's going to perform just as good, or if not better, than the R1M around the racetrack. Now, depending on where you go and what racetrack you're going to be at, if you're on some straights and stuff like that, obviously this engine makes a lot more power. So down the straights and everything like that, I could tell you hands down, and I've ridden them both, this bike will smoke an R1M in a straight line. Now, when you start diving into the corners and stuff like that, well, it's debatable, but if I had to put my money on it, I would probably pick the R1M. But again, you make up for it in certain areas, where the R1 can corner and go into the turn a little bit better than the Ducati, and then coming out of the hole, this thing puts down a hell of a lot more power than that R1, and then you're going to catch it and reel it back in. So it's a game of cat and mouse, and it really depends on the type of track that you're on. But then when you're on the type of track, that's a very easy adjustment to switch out sprockets to figure out gearing and change all kinds of other things depending on the type of track and the tire that you're going to be using for that track, so that you can gain that advantage. So again, going forward, do I think that I bought the correct bike? Yes. Do I wish I would have bought the R1M? Well, I don't regret anything that I really do. Absolutely not. I just wish I had more money to buy all of them, to say, if I had to put a phrase on it behind it. But no, I got exactly what I wanted. But there are some things that this bike does that I like a lot more than the R1 does. And then there's some things after riding the R1 that I like a lot more than this bike. And I've gotten that question kind of a lot when I say, well, hey, do you track this bike? And people that, know motorcycles will ask, do you often track this bike? Because they'll say, hey, your bike looks really clean. Look, there's no marks, no divots, and, nothing to the paint. Well, I haven't had this bike on a circuit track yet, and I'll be straightforward and straight honest with you. I don't know if I ever plan to. I kind of bought it more of an investment and more of jewelry, but if I want to go fast and track it, I use my S1000. The front of it's already beat up. It's got a few thousand miles on it. And then it's got all the mods to support, with it as well. And that's exactly what I bought it for. And that's why I bought this bike fully optioned out anyway. But jumping back here to this, the R1. I do like it. It's the only Yamaha motorcycle I could actually say I ever did like. Will I buy one? It's a definite possibility. More so a yes now than it ever was a no since that bike has come out. And that's exactly what led me to this bike when I was going to buy the R1, because I wanted an all-out track bike. And I just think, you know, in riding it around on the street, and it's something different, you know, I think that the R1 does a damn good job, a much better job at cruising around on the street than the Ducati. So it's just a few thoughts and a few things that, you know, hey, you know, if the viewers are kind of thinking of something, if they want to, you know, to do a lot of track days and such with their motorcycle and want that ultimate track weapon bike, pick up and look at some used R1Ms that, you know, they will probably persuade your way, and it'll probably sway you away a little bit here from the Ducati. Even though the Ducati is much sexier, hands down, but I really do think that you will be able to change your mind, change your view after riding both of them, and then best fit it for your application. Now, if you have more than one bike, then you're probably going to lean a little bit more towards the Ducati. So either way, I don't think you can go wrong with either choice. Both of them kick ass. Both of them do exactly what they're intended to do perfectly in their exact and own way. And they're both not cheap. You're going to pay the price to go fast. You're going to pay the price to turn. And they have the latest technology of the current sport bikes here on the market. And that's you got to pay for that. You got to pay to play. And that's pretty much going to do it, you know, for, I think, you know, did I buy the right bike or didn't I buy the right bike? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you rather have the Ducati V4 or would you rather have the R1M as your ultimate track bike? Again, if y'all like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out my other videos here on YouTube about the BMWs, the 959s, the Hyper Motard, the X Diavolo, the Groms, the Vets, and anything else in various other videos that I make. You might find something interesting. You can also find the latest updates about anything I'm going to be future posting on Instagram at the Speedbug, same name here as YouTube. And that's going to conclude it here. We'll see you for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces.